A leaked Auditor-General report has exposed an adverse audit report on the City of Tshwane. The 2021-2022 financial year report, which was leaked last week, presented a bleak picture of the city's financial management. We're now joined by the city's executive mayor, Mr. Randall Williams. Thank you, sir, for availing yourself this afternoon. While we appreciate that the report is yet to be formally presented to the mayoral committee, it does not bode well for the coalition's campaign of undoing or not doing what they accuse the ANC of having done. Instead, it points to a continuation of what the ANC allegedly did in the city of Tshwane.
Yeah, it's very, although the report is very, very disappointing, we also welcome the fact that for the first time ever, the AG did a very, very deep, in-depth audit of the city's finances. Because you can only fix if you know what is wrong. But if someone like the CFO hides information from you, you will never be able to fix the city. And I can give you an example of what's been happening. You've noted the AG, one of the findings that led to the adverse opinion of the AG was an amount of over R1 billion that was flagged as fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Now, upon investigation, the AG found that there's actually an amount of R1,019 million that was secretly paid to SARS for a VAT amount. Now, that was never disclosed in any of our financial statements, because what the AG looks at does not only look at the once a year consolidated financial statements, it looks at the monthly statements. Now, every month, the CFO paid R91 million to SARS as VAT, but he never disclosed it on any of the financial statements. And if you subtract that amount from a fruitless and wasteful expenditure, the fruitless and wasteful expenditure amounts to R8 million. So we've investigated where that amount came from. It turns out there was this company Payo that got a contract from the City of Tshwane in 2015, whereby they had to install smart meters. So AfriForum and ourselves at the time in 2015-2016 took the company to court to have the contract overturned. And we were successful in overturning the contract. But what we later found out, the company was not only appointed to install smart meters, but also to collect revenue on behalf of the city, which was totally illegal. So after the contract was cancelled, the company then liquidated itself. And then what SARS did, because SARS found out that that company, on the revenue collected for the city, it never paid that amount. So what SARS then did, it then billed the city for that VAT amount of R4 billion. And that we received in the 2017-2018 financial year. So what the CFO did, he hid that information from the executive at that time already. And he never disclosed it on any of the financial statements that were issued by the city.
Mr. Williams.
And he secretly, and may I just add, the question is, no one instructed him to do anything on that behalf. Now, who instructed him to do that?
Is that a question you are posing? You do
No,
not know?
that is a rhetorical question that I'm posing. He did not get that instruction from the executive.
Okay.
Secretly pay off the amount.
On that, right, so you accuse the CFO of hiding
Yes.
information from you, doing things in secret. Mr. Williams, no one man has all that power. So the municipality did not have an adequate system for identifying and disclosing all irregular expenditure incurred, as is required by law. That's according to the Auditor-General. So you take no responsibility at all?
Well, let me come to, of course, I take responsibility, and you would have seen my response, what we've done. We've now gone way beyond and above municipal finance management processes that's laid out, that you do an audit process once a year. If you encounter a city that where its finances are being mismanaged to such an extent, you need to introduce early warning systems. But and that's why what we're doing now, instead of doing an audit once a year, we're doing an audit every quarter. Instead of having one CFO, we're going to have 3 CFOs. So we're introducing a number of new systems so that we can have an early warning system that one person, as you put it, does not have so much power. Let me just come to the irregular expense. The regular expense that's listed there, over 10 billion rands. That is actually irregular expense that have accumulated over 12 years. Not 1 year, over 12 years. So the irregular expense for this year, for the financial year under review, amounts to 1.2 billion rands. Now, why is that irregular expense up 10 billion rand? Why did it accumulate over a number of years? A good part of that regular expense accumulated because we were very successful in winning court cases. The pay-you contract, we took to court, have it overturned. The fleet contract, broadband contract, there are many contracts we took to court, we had it overturned. The problem is, the moment you are successful in court and you'd have a contract declared legal, which you know was illegal, the Auditor-General and the GRAP rules of accounting requires that all the money spent on that contract now becomes an irregular expense. Because we won cases every time our irregular expense was then inflated.
Mr. Williams, gross financial misconduct is no small accusation or no small finding, right? So you spoke of an amount of 3.93 billion rand, and that was attributed to duplicated contingent liabilities, causing the contingencies disclosure to be overstated by 3.93 billion rand, and that's just one example. And so please help us understand, how does it work, right? So for him to have paid SARS, for him to not have paid suppliers, for him to have made unauthorized payments, who would have needed to sign off for him to do that? To understand also whether introducing 3 CFOs will actually solve the problem?
Like I said, that's part of the solution. The other solution is that you need to put in place early warning systems. That's very important. You need to do interim audits every quarter. The reason why he's able to hide things, when you hide information from financial statements, you wouldn't know that that information existed. Now, when financial statements are prepared, the person preparing the financial statements, they sit with all your bank statements, they sit with the order requisitions, they sit with the invoices, so that all the supporting documents prepare the financial statements. So when the different committees, the Section 79 Committee on Finance, the impact, that's the Public Accounts Committee, when the APC, the Audit Performance Committee, when all of them, these documents go through them, only the financial statements, not the supporting documents. They are very reliant on what the CFO puts before them. So he puts the figures without the supporting documents. It's only when you become suspicious that you can then call in an internal audit to be done. That suspicion never arose. And that's why the position of a CFO is a highly trusted position. If you can no longer trust that position, you must introduce early warning systems. So we've got extensive audit plans now. We're working hand in hand with the AG's office. The AG's office, in fact, have now put a team permanently in the City of Tshwane. We're also working hand in hand with National Treasury. When corruption like this takes place, you can't just rely on the on the Municipal Finance Management Act, you need to introduce new systems, new processes. And that's what we're doing now.
It sounds retrospective, Mr. Williams, and it is good that moving forward there's a contingency plan, right, to prevent something like this happening. But somebody was asleep behind the wheel. How is it that one person was able to make unauthorized payments? Again, how does the process work? So who would have signed off that he then makes these payments?
Well, he can control. So it is not one person, that I agree with you. But in order for us to find whether there are others involved, we need to do forensic investigation. So I can't say whether there are others involved or not. We need to do a forensic investigation and find out how he was able to do it for so long without anybody picking up anything.
Reaction from the coalition has also been one of concern, right? And so I do wonder what this information means for the coalition, if anything at all.
Of course they should be concerned. Everybody's concerned. After all, Tshwane is the capital city of South Africa, and we are the face of South Africa. And we understand the seriousness of this. But when life throws you a curveball, here's how you deal with it. You can't just throw up your hands in the air and say, oh, well.
Sure, when life throws you a curveball, it is how you deal with it. How do you respond to sectors of society that say yourself as well as whomever is working with you, your executive, should step down?
Well, the thing is this. When there's a crisis like this, you would want people to pull us out of this mess. You saw what happened at Eskom. The moment there's a crisis, there's a change of leadership. Over the last 20 years, how many leaders have we had? Every time we change them. Eskom today is in a worse crisis than before. So we need to step up and resolve these challenges. And it can be resolved. If you put the right systems, if you have the right people. And for example, I now believe we have the right city manager who is very experienced and we're working very well together with him. Do we want another Eskom? Change the leadership. Continue with the mess.
So you will not entertain the idea of stepping down?
No, it's not for me to entertain it. I serve at the behest of my party and the coalition parties. It's for them to take the decision. This is not my fiefdom. It is not. I'm here at the behest. I'm not here under any Labour Relations Act rules. Politicians, all of them serve at the behest of their parties and their coalition partnerships. And it's for them to decide what they need to do.
Fair enough. Mr. Randall Williams is the City of Tshwane's mayor. Thank you, sir.